very fascinating career journey, going from a VP at Blackrock to joining a fashion startup company. And now she's a successful career coach.
I really come in to help people like that get clarity in their careers and help them take steps towards landing that ideal job for themselves. I have to feel this way when I'm spending so much of my time at work. Like, shouldn't I be excited to go to work? Shouldn't I be happy to go to work? Shouldn't I want to work on things that I feel passionate about rather than, updating PowerPoint presentations or doing things that I didn't really enjoy?
So what motivated you to have that courage to transition from a high-paid job to starting your own company?
Why would you go take above more than 50% pay cut? Why would you go join a fashion startup that nobody's ever heard of? I'm pushing myself in a direction that actually makes sense and that I actually would be excited and proud of if I look back at my career, when I retire.
20 years down the road, we are happier of what we are doing, right?
Exactly.
It's about the reframing of our thoughts.
Yeah.
Right. Hi everyone, welcome back to Heart to Heart Dialogue. I'm your host, Candy Yap, and today we have an incredible guest, Jennifer Ong. Hi. And Jennifer has had an very fascinating career journey, going from a VP at Blackrock to joining a fashion startup company, and now she's a successful career coach. And she's also the host of her own podcast, Ctrl Alt Career, on Spotify, where she helps unhappy corporate professionals identify and build their dream career. Wow. And while you all can hear about her personal transition on Ctrl Alt Career, today we are going to deep dive into some practical financial tips, career tips, as well as, we both we both are women in business, right? So we are going to deep dive in women entrepreneurship. And it's going to be rich and insightful discussion today. All right. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello. Excited to be here, Candy. Thanks for having me.
Same here. Thank you for being here with me as well and share about your personal journey. Yeah. Could you just spend 2 to 3 minutes, just do a rough introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jennifer. I think you shared a little bit about my career journey, but I'm the founder of Ctrl Alt Career. And a career coach. Basically, what we do at Ctrl Alt Career is we help high achievers who are stuck in perfect on-paper jobs, right? So people who work in finance or law or, big tech, and they have that perfect on-paper resume, but something is missing.
Yep.
They know they should be happy with this job and they know, this is what everybody wants and they've achieved what society defines as success, but something's missing and they know that this isn't what they want to continue doing for the next, 10, 20, 30, 40 years of their life. But they don't know what else it is that they want to do. And so they feel lost, they feel frustrated. They want to build that perfect for them career, but they don't know how and they don't know what that looks like. So I really come in to help people like that get clarity in their careers and help them take steps towards landing that ideal job for themselves.
That's amazing. Could you just share a little bit, what's the happiness, the happy that you mentioned about?
The career happiness part? So for that, I think it's just waking up, not dreading to go to work. I think the reason I started this company was I used to be one of those people who would wake up, dreading to go to work, or I would have the Sunday blues.
Sunday blues, yes.
Yeah, right. And I thought this can't be the rest of my life, right? I spend 8, 10 hours, 12 hours sometimes at work, and the majority of my time, Monday to Friday, is in the office, right? And so why do I feel, I just felt frustrated that I would have to feel this way when I'm spending so much of my time at work. Shouldn't I be excited to go to work? Shouldn't I be happy to go to work? Shouldn't I want to work on things that I feel passionate about rather than, updating PowerPoint presentations or doing things that I didn't really enjoy. And I understand that every job has its downsides, right? Every job has the not so glamorous side of it, right? I mean, there's I'm in a job today, starting my own company, and it's amazing. I love my job, but there's still many things that I hate doing, like administrative tasks or,
Yes.
dealing with like financial statements, whatever, right? And I understand that every single job has that, but I didn't want it to be the majority of the job. And I felt like back then, the majority of that job was not something that I really enjoyed. And so I knew I wanted to leave. I didn't know what else I could do because I think I was just so taught and at such a young age, and it was so deeply instilled in me at such a young age what success looked like.
Yes.
Right? I think success was very much like get good grades, go to an Ivy League university, get an amazing
job.
Yeah, amazing job that pays you well,
Yes.
climb up the corporate ladder, continue to make more money. And I checked all of those boxes, right? And I thought, wow, okay, like this is what but why am I unhappy? Right? And so so I think sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
It's okay. I was actually about to ask you, like, because I mean, I have listened to your podcast at Ctrl Alt Career, and I actually quite curious, like, what motivated you, because you were at Blackrock and as a VP. So what motivated you to, have that courage to transition from a high-paid job to starting your own company?
Yeah. So I think that was probably the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Leaving behind this like fancy corporate job and this perfect on paper job and this ideal, I mean, Blackrock was a place that everybody was like, this is amazing. You've made it in life. Like, this is the best company. They pay you well. You've got great work-life balance.
You got the VP, right?
Yeah. And like, I was on track for, a good career there. Like, people there really liked me. And I knew I could have built like a good career for myself there. And I think I actually remember so clearly, I delayed having the conversation to resign with my boss for a month because I kept getting so scared and I kept getting cold feet. And I remember even going into that conversation with my boss, I was like about to cry. And it was like kind of funny looking back because my boss was like trying to comfort me about quitting. Because I was so nervous that I was making the biggest mistake of my life. Right?
Like you thought you were making a biggest mistake.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people around me didn't understand why I would do that, right? Like, why would you go take above more than 50% pay cut? Why would you go join a fashion startup that nobody's ever heard of? People just didn't understand why I would ever do that to my career and kind of throw away everything that I've built for myself.
So what actually motivated you? Like,
and so I think what I've learned is that a lot of times taking a half step back might lead to 2 steps forward in your career. And I think that this half step back, a lot of the times people will not understand. And it will be really hard for you personally to take that half step back as well. Because you feel like, oh my God, I'm starting my career all over again, or I'm taking such a massive pay cut, or I have to reprove myself and rebuild what I've spent the last 7 years building. And most people aren't willing to do that.
Yes.
But then they end up in careers where they built 10, 20, 30 years in a space that they don't really enjoy just because they were too afraid of taking a half step back. And so people tend to over-optimize for the short term, right? You optimize for, okay, short term, is this going to give me a pay increase? Short term, is this going to give me a pay, a title bump? But it might come at the expense of your long-term career path.
Correct.
Like, you keep building a career in a space that you don't like. At the end of the day, are you going to be happy looking back at the entire career that you've built? Right? Versus for me, I recognize that, no, this is not what I want to continue building my life in. Hey, maybe I take a half step back, I reorient myself, and then I'm pushing myself in a direction that actually makes sense and that I actually would be excited and proud of if I look back at my career, when I retire.
And this is definitely makes sense because I met another client of mine, and she is in her 50s. And then she told me like she was also like a high flyer. And when she was at her age of 45, and she started to think like, hey, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with who I am. And how am I going to continue this? So she started her own business as well. And she took like a 70% pay cut. And now that you mentioned like just take a half step back to make 2 steps forward, I guess it's just by like, to share to people that, hey, in life, we just take like a few years back, but we are moving forward better.
Yeah, exactly.
10, 20 years down the road, we are happier of what we are doing, right?
Exactly. And I think people on that theme, on that thought, right? I think a lot of people have this idea of sunk cost fallacy. Oh, I already spent a decade, building my career in finance. Like it would be wasted time. So I should continue to spend the next decade or two in the same industry. But it's sunk cost fallacy. Like the time has already spent. It has already happened. Do you want to then give up 20, 30 more years in the future doing something you don't want? Or, hey, 10 years, you gained the experience there, you built your network there, cool, fine. It's not what you want. We don't want to waste the next, 10, 20, 30 years of our life still doing something we know we don't enjoy.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And also speaking about I remember you mentioned you took like a 80% pay cut back then. When I heard that, I was really super curious to know how do you manage your personal expenses?
Oh my God, honestly, I was terrified. Like when I got the offer, and not to sound snobby or anything, but I truly did not know if I could survive off of this little money, because I've never been paid so little money ever, in my life, right? So it was like an astronomical pay cut. Like I made way more as a fresh grad with no experience than doing this. And so I actually looked at the offer, obviously negotiated. I mean, but still, it was scary, truly. Like I think I was lucky in that I had a lot of savings. And so I basically reframed this for myself that this was going to be my business school. So instead of me going to business school and spending, $100,000, $200,000, getting another degree, and obviously that's just the school fees without the living expenses, so it would be a good chunk of money that I would have to spend going to business school. Why not just try to create my version of business school with this job, right?
Wow.
And instead of me being out money, I actually get paid to learn.
Wow. Okay,
was how I
this.
reframed that
It's about the reframing of our thoughts.
Yeah.
Right. It's like two sides of the coin, just which side we decided to look at it.
Exactly. And so from that perspective, then I was like, oh, this is a great deal. Because one, I knew, okay, this is going to be my business school. I can really create the curriculum for myself, right?
Wow.
Business school, you are always like the teacher teaches you what you need to learn, right? But here, I really get to create, what do I really want to learn from building a business? I knew I was really committed to building my own business.
Wow.
And I knew I wanted to learn specific things about how to build a business. And I think I also was really set on learning how to build a VC-backed business. And so I thought, if I go to business school, I'll probably learn, but is it really so relevant? Is everything I learned at business school going to help me build a VC-backed business?
Yeah.
I didn't think so. And so I thought, actually, I should spend the next 2 years really going for working for someone and really learn the ins and outs of every single thing about building a VC-backed business. And the cherry on top of it is I get paid a small stipend to learn was how I reframed it.
I love this, the optimistic side of you and how you reframe the thinking. So back to the question, because you took a 80% pay cut and you mentioned you had a saving. So does it also mean that because you were living kind of you are not splurging your money?
So basically I didn't really save during that period of time. So I almost had to spend all of my paycheck, I would say, during that period of time.
How many years did that?
Oh, I worked at StyleTheory for 3 years. Obviously, my pay went up over time.
Yes. But
so it got better. So I think over time I did end up saving and it was fine. But in the early days, it was, I basically spent the entire paycheck, or had to spend almost the entire paycheck. I think also because I didn't want to substantially reduce my lifestyle, which was a personal choice. And I don't know if that was the wisest choice. But I knew that I wanted to keep my standard of living to a certain extent. And so, I think the thing was I never had to really dip into my savings. So that was my main thing. But I think at that period of time, I definitely would be a lot more mindful about how I was spending money. I probably didn't go on as many trips as I used to. I think the thing from that period of time was it made me realize that you can follow something you're really passionate about and really love what you're doing. But at the end of the day, if you don't feel like you are getting paid for the work that you're doing, or if you feel like you're constantly financially stressed, it's not really, for me, not really worth it to just purely follow your passion.
I see.
And so that was my main takeaway from this period of time. Like taking that substantial pay cut actually taught me a big lesson, which is that actually I need to have a job where it does pay me well. And following my passion blindly at the expense of getting paid well is not my definition of success.
So you are saying that, yes, we can all follow our passion, but the foundation bare minimum, we must have our savings and not just blindly follow that and, took a hit on, in terms of financially, right?
So I think not just in terms of savings, but I think building a career for yourself where it gives you that financial stability or the financial upside that you're looking for and is giving you something that you are excited about doing. Because I think there's a lot of talk out there about follow your passion.
Yes.
Or follow the money. I think that's like two camps to how people make decisions in their careers, right? But I think for me, I recognize, so I did both, right?
Yep.
First job was follow the money.
Yes, correct.
Second job was follow the passion and have no money. And so I realized both of them are not the options that I want for myself.
Yes.
And I needed to then take this third step, which is entrepreneurship, doing career coaching today, which is a combination of what I feel passionate about, like this cause, helping people find clarity in their career, working with people to land a job that they're really excited about. That's something I feel really strongly about, right? I get a deep sense of fulfillment and purpose from that. And I also get the financial upside by being a business owner and being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Right. And so I think that is what I realized was my definition of success.
So it's like a combination of both.
Or the other. Exactly.
Thank you for sharing. And as a career coach, right? How could you advise the audience, how do you know if someone is not fit for a traditional 9-to-5 job? Is there any sign to look at?
I think it's a lot of self-reflection. That's what I always tell my clients. I think it's really, there's some people out there that's perfect for a traditional 9-to-5 job, right? Like my husband, for example, perfect for him. He's just very structured, loves routine, loves that he could just focus on what he's doing and not have to think about HR, admin, marketing, all of these other things that come with running your own business, right? I have to think about every aspect of the business. But I find that exciting that I get to tap and wear many hats and really understand things from a big holistic perspective. Whereas some people might just want to do their job really, really well and not have to deal with all these additional things around, how do you fundraise? How do you do hit payroll? How do you deal with taxes? Some people just want to be focused on that. And I think it's just about recognizing what you want yourself, who you are as an individual. And some people are perfect. I think a corporate job is perfect for them.
Yes.
And so I don't really push people to have to quit their job and, start a business or join the startup world or whatever it is, right? I think what I'm here to do is to help hold up a mirror to you so that you can really understand who you are and figure out what is the perfect fit for you. And that might look really different from what's perfect for me because, we're all different people.
Usually, how would you guide your clients to pick the career that, suitable for them?
So we go through a lot of self-discovery. So the very first module that I go through is really around understanding who you are. So we really figure out what your career values are, what your strengths are, and what your interests are. And then we try to combine all of those things to then figure out what your perfect career could look like. So, not just in terms of the function, but also in terms of the industry, but also in terms of the size of the company. Some people might be better suited for large corporations, smaller corporations, medium-sized corporations, and also the culture. What type of culture, office culture are you really looking for? Work culture are you really looking for? What kind of people do you want to surround yourself by? Because I think a lot of what makes people unhappy about a job is also the culture fit.
Yes, exactly. And I think the audience might be thinking, hey, where can I find Jennifer? How can the audience find you?
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on Instagram or on LinkedIn. My Instagram is Ong Jennifer, so ONG Jennifer, JENNIFER_. Otherwise, you can find me on my podcast. It's Ctrl Alt Career. My website is also Ctrl Alt Career. I also have ongjennifer.com. So yeah, I'd love for you guys to reach out to me. You know, I'm really active on LinkedIn, really active on Instagram. So send me a message if you guys have any questions. Always happy to, you know, get you guys to reach out and ask me any questions you might have, and I can see how I can help.
Yeah, she has very amazing posts and LinkedIn. And let's touch a little bit on, you know, like financial planning for entrepreneurs. Like, because as an entrepreneur, starting a business often requires, you know, a substantial financial planning, and which is what I emphasize very much as well. So, what financial advice would you give to someone who's actually thinking about, oh, I want to leave my corporate job to start my own business?
I would say always test drive it first before quitting your job.
Test drive, like
it's like have some results for yourself first before you quit your job.
It's like part-time first?
Yeah, so have a side hustle or do this part-time first. Just kind of see if you can even make money from this, and kind of see how much money realistically could you really make from this, and then see if that will actually be enough for you. Okay. So for some people, they could be reframing it the way that I reframed my fashion startup paycut, right? Like maybe, hey, I'm going to give myself 2 years. I'm going to go try to start a business, and it's okay if I don't make any money or very little money because I'm treating this as my business school. So that could be one way of thinking about it.
Yes.
But I think for myself at that point, I had already done the business school reframe. So at this point, I knew I wanted to be able to prove to myself I could make money from this, because I always say, if you don't make money from this, it's just a project. It's a hobby.
I love that.
It's not a business. Like at the end of the day, if you want to build a business, you've got to make money from it.
True.
And so for me, I really did this for a long time while I had a job. I think I did it for a year. I was side hustling, career coaching for a year before I ultimately decided to quit my job. So I was working really, really long hours back then. I was working a day job at StyleTheory, and then I was working nights, weekends. So basically like 8 to midnight, and then weekends would be almost like a full day, like
so
10
it's like
to
from
5.
8 to midnight. Like,
yeah, so like after dinner, I would then like work on like my own Ctrl Alt Career, whether it was like the podcast or finding clients or coaching clients or creating marketing campaigns for finding clients. I would do that Monday to Friday.
Wow.
Maybe Friday night I'd be off. So like Monday to Thursday, and then weekends like 10 to 5 I would be working on the business as well.
Wow.
So I think I share that because I think sometimes entrepreneurship is overly glamorized, and I think people have this preconceived notion of like, wow, it's so nice to have control of your own time, and you know, there's all these like amazing things that come with, and it's true that there is great things that come from entrepreneurship, but there's also so much crap that you have to eat before you get there. And I just want to share a little bit of my personal experience, because I think it was hard for a really long time. Like I didn't make money for a really long time. It was really hard to find clients for a really long time. I had a lot of imposter syndrome for a really long time. Like, who am I to coach someone? Like, I am not a professionally trained coach. I'm not, I didn't go to school for this. And, can I even get any success or any results from my clients? I think there's a lot of, and I understand why a lot of people give up in this entrepreneurial journey, right? Because there's just so much self-doubt that comes in, etc.
A lot of insecurities as well.
Exactly. And so, I would highly, highly recommend that people test drive this before they go into it, because then you get a full taste of what entrepreneurship is like. And so then you can decide, hey, maybe actually I do enjoy working for someone more than I do starting something myself. And better for you to make that decision when you have the security of a paycheck. Because otherwise, when you don't have the security of a paycheck, you are even more stressed out about making money and finding ways to make money. And that could be very motivating for some people. You know, people can...
Some personality traits. Right.
But for others, it could be really scary, and, it could you could freeze up from all that stress.
It depends
and pressure.
On at what stages they are in their life. If they have children, have family, then it will be even more stressful.
Exactly.
And I'm really curious, like, how do you manage your time? Like, did you have even like work-life balance back in when you juggling StyleTheory and
No, frankly speaking. But that was before I had kids. So I think, and I was married back then, so I had time
you
on
have
my
a very
side.
supportive partner. I
Yes,
must say.
exactly.
Because it's totally not easy, like you have to stretch yourself like every single day. I can feel that stress as well.
Yeah.
But did you feel alive like when you were doing that?
I did. So actually for me, it didn't feel like work. Like I was like super excited and I still am. Like I love what it is that I do, right? So it felt really fun. Like it didn't feel like, oh my God, like this sucks. Like I have to sit down at 8 p.m. and work until midnight to get out this presentation or to create Instagram content or write this LinkedIn post. Like it didn't feel like work. Like it just was really, it actually like re-energized me. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, like I can feel the energy when you were saying about that. And so how many hours did you sleep back then?
Oh no, I still sleep a lot. Like I am someone who cannot function on like less than like 9 hours of sleep. Like I sleep a lot.
Okay, at least there's something is balanced. Like, at least
yeah. Like sleep is definitely there.
Okay. Yeah, I guess like from your sharing, I hear a hint like if you were juggling both, like when you test it out, and if you feel alive by having that as a side hustle, and then you can make money out of it, that could be a green light to go to, right?
Yeah.
And also, by listening to your podcast earlier on, you mentioned about like building a portfolio, like stay investing and something like that. Like, do you have any advice for someone who probably I'm looking at building my career or having my own business 5 years from now? Do you have any investment tips for them? Like how should they, build their
So
money?
I actually think it really depends on the type of business you build, right? So I think I was very deliberate in this business because there's very little upfront capital.
Correct.
I don't need to rent a space. I don't need to buy inventory. I don't need to hire anybody, right? So I was really, I'm a very risk averse person, even though maybe on paper people think I'm not risk averse because I've done such crazy pivots and, all of that. But I'm actually a very risk averse person.
Yes.
And I knew I didn't want to throw in a ton of money into a business without any, not guarantees, but like, without really knowing what I was getting myself into. And so I think I also picked building this type of business because I knew upfront I didn't have to spend that much money. And I didn't really want to dip into my savings and all of that.
So like the strategy should be like, first off, like you have to know what type of business we are going in. And does this business cost a lot of startup capital? Yeah. And then we make a number and then we kind of sort of like backward engineer and see how much money we need to make it.
So I think the thing I wanted to highlight is that there's many forms of business that you can start. And I think a lot of people think, to start a business, I need to figure out a business plan. I need to figure out how much capital I need to put into the business. And there's some types of business for sure that looks like that. But I think there's also a lot of other types of businesses, right? There's the type of business that's service oriented like mine, where there's no upfront capital. It's just my time and the internet connection.
And your own space, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's other types of business. And one that I was considering very seriously was the VC-backed business, right? And so for a VC-backed business, which I also, dabbled into and tried that path out for a while, then you also don't need to put in a ton of money yourself because you just need to go out and fundraise.
Yes.
So there's many ways that you could get the capital required for you to build the business that you want. And I don't think it necessarily needs to be your own capital.
That's like a smarter way to, start a business.
Yeah. And so I don't think that, so for anybody listening where you're thinking about starting a business, in 5 years' time, don't feel like, I must continue to work at my job and grind away at this job I really hate because I need to save up an arbitrary amount of money. Like really question yourself, like put a number to it. I think a lot of people think like, I must work for the money. But do you know how much money you really need in order to pursue your dreams? Like sit down and figure out what that looks like for you. And then figure out, are there alternative methods to getting this capital?
Wow.
Right? Like, is it that you need to save up yourself? Or that maybe you could find VCs or, friends and family or whatever it is, right? There's a lot of capital out there as well. You just need to be smart about how you get that capital.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. I think it's really about knowing what you want at first and work on it, right?
Yeah.
And this brings me to my next question. Like, why career coach? Like, why would you, eventually decided, okay, this is my business. I want to be a career coach.
So I think it's just a topic I feel so strongly about, right? Like it was a personal struggle that I faced in my life. I just didn't want other people to feel the way that I felt, right? Because I think when you're in a job that isn't the right fit for you, it can really take a toll on you mentally. It can take a toll on you in terms of your self-confidence, your self-identity. And I really was in a not so great place back then, right? I think it took me a long time to get myself back out of there and to rebuild my confidence, rebuild my sense of self, and recognize that, hey, it's okay if I have taken an alternative path that people don't necessarily, see as successful. Right? I think I recognize that I'm a people pleaser, and I've always been a people pleaser, right? And so other people, external validation really matters to me. And I think that was really one of the hardest things that I had to face in my life, was stripping away all of this brand and external definition of success. Who am I at my core? Yeah. And I remember very distinctly when I left Blackrock and moved to Singapore to join StyleTheory, I was meeting a lot of new people, right? Because I was new to the city and all of that. And the first thing people ask you is like, hey, nice to meet you. And you share a little bit about yourself, right? So you just be like, hi, nice to meet you. Like, where do you work, right? And then I'd be like, oh yeah, hi, like I'm Jennifer and I'm at Blackrock. And I remember normally, people would be like, oh, cool. Like they would be, they would kind of like view you in a certain light, like with some sort of respect, etc. Right? And then I remember so distinctly when I first moved here, I'd be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And they'd be like, oh, where do you work? And I'd be like, oh, I work at StyleTheory. They'd be like, huh, what is that? And then I would be like, oh, it's a fashion startup. And then they'd be like, oh, cool. And like lose interest, right? Some people would like lose interest or just immediately see you as like not as smart or kind of look at you in a different light. Yep. And maybe part of it is also like my insecurity, right? Like I also read this situation as like, oh, they don't respect me as much because probably I felt insecure myself, right? So I recognize that. But I definitely noticed that there was a difference in tone with how I presented or like or how people reacted to me when I hid behind a nice fancy brand name versus when I had to be by myself. So I think that was really, really hard. And I just want to help other people in this journey because I truly understand how it feels, right? If you are a model student, if you are someone who has been a high achiever and you've always done the right thing, but you know that's not what you want and you want to take a leap of faith for yourself, it's really scary and it's a difficult journey. I just want to be there and help you along the way to make it a little bit easier for you.
True.
Because I think younger me would have wanted that. Yeah. And I think I'm doing it for younger me.
Yeah. I mean, with your sharing here, it's kind of like make me, just look back myself 7 years earlier because I was a law graduate. And whenever like I totally can resonate with you talking about, when people ask you, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm with a law firm, and then people would just look up at you, right? Yeah. But then when I like took a leap of faith, like just come to Singapore and be an insurance agent. And people will be just like, huh? Yeah. You're a law graduate and then now you are an insurance agent. Yeah. And I have to admit, like, people do judge by the cover of the books subconsciously. Yeah. Yeah. They didn't judge it like I wanted to judge it, but it's just subconscious mind. There's something at the back of my mind that,
And I'm sure that was hard for you as well, right?
It was hard because honestly, I was raised in from a Chinese background family, right? So it was really hard for me to even get past the law school, and it was hard for me like even to start a podcast like this, and it's just a lot of voices at the back, like you mentioned about the insecurity, like this imposter syndrome. But then I just told myself, hey, I just want to be out of the comfort zone. I just want to feel alive by doing something not comfortable, and I'll be better at it. So like with your sharing, I really can feel you like it's like you must have took a lot of time to sit down and think about yourself, like reflect on yourself, right?
Yeah. And kudos to you for having the courage to do that as well, right?
I mean, we have to, right? To feel alive, right?
Yeah. So I'm happy for you. I know
You
it was
too.
a very scary decision.
Yes, that's why I can feel you. Like when you
Yeah.
were sharing it, I'm like, oh my God, it's so scary.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, like Jennifer, you also just shared you just shared that, you know, before we started this podcast, you already having a child, 6 month child, right? Congratulations.
Thank you.
So do you mind sharing your journey, you know, as a mompreneur? I would say you're a mompreneur right now. How do you juggle your life, right, at the moment?
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably other mothers out there who could give better advice since I'm still so new in this journey and I'm still really trying to figure it out. But I think the key thing is just trying to figure out what version of what balance I want from my life. I think for a while it was very interesting. I was telling a friend of mine recently, who's also a coach, and so she was kind of coaching me through this. I was like telling her, I'm feeling really frustrated. I feel like I'm neither a good mom and I'm neither a good, entrepreneur at this point at this stage of my life. Like when I'm with my baby, I am thinking about my business. When I am when I'm working on my business, I work from home, right? So she's outside and I hear her and I'm distracted because I want to spend time with her. And so I was telling her that I'm feeling really frustrated and really disappointed in myself because I feel like I just don't know how to find that right balance for myself. And she said something quite enlightening for me. And she said, maybe what you're struggling with is you don't know what version or what that right ratio is for yourself.
The ratio.
In terms of, do you, like, if they think about this, if you knew I want to be 100% a mom and you just stay at home and you don't work on your business.
Correct.
And that's your ideal goal and you just did that, you would be pretty happy. Or if you knew that I want to 100% be at work and don't spend any time with baby and I would be 100% happy with that, you and you did it, you would be happy. But it's just that I haven't quite found that right ratio for myself. Because I don't know, I definitely know I don't want to be 100% or 100% on each side, right? And so I don't know if it's 50% being a mom is good and 50% working is good, or is it 80% being a mom, 20% working, or 70% working, 30% being a mom? And I think I'm currently in this like trial period where I'm like trying out what is that right ratio for me?
Yes.
Like if I'm spending 70% of my time with the business and 30% of time with baby, do I feel good with that ratio?
Yes.
Or do I need to readjust? And so I'm kind of in this phase where I'm experimenting with that for myself. And I know I am very lucky that I have the opportunity to do this because I know so many women out there, you know, at the 6-month mark are going back to the office or are already back in the office, right? And so for them, then it's really truly like, hey, I'm fully 100% back at work. And, it's really the night or the morning or the weekends that I spend with my child, right? And so I know I am really lucky to be able to have this for myself. But I also was reminded recently by a friend that, hey, you're not lucky, or don't downplay this for yourself, because she said, you built this for yourself.
Yes.
You created this flexibility for yourself before you even got pregnant, before you even had a child. Like she said, remember that you did this for yourself. And yes, you are lucky today, but it's not pure luck. Like you worked damn hard to set up this career for yourself, right? You worked really, really hard for yourself to be able to have a company or to run a business that would allow you to have the flexibility to decide how much of a mom you want to be, how much of a business owner you want to be. And she says you should, also recognize and, celebrate your wins once in a while. Aww. And I thought that was really nice of her to say, because I think I'm not someone who is very good at celebrating my wins. And I'm always like, oh yeah, cool. Like moving on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And she was just like, take a minute to really look back at what you built for yourself and, be thankful for your younger self for really hustling so hard to give yourself this opportunity.
Yeah, because from what I hear from you, I thought like you are a very goal-oriented person. You are a very structured person. Like this is step 1, step 2, step 3. And I believe like, because from what I hear from my friends who are mompreneur as well, like they would naturally feel the guiltiness in them, like, oh, hey, I'm having a baby right now, like kind of the focus just like switch, right? Like we shift our focus a little bit and then we start to feel guilty, like you are such a high achiever and then now you have to make balance of both.
So I think what I've learned along the way was outsourcing. So I forced myself to outsource before I went on maternity leave. Because basically, as a business owner and a solopreneur,
Yes.
it's hard to take maternity leave.
There's no leave, right?
There's no leave, because if you leave, the business is not running, right? And so I knew that when I found out I got pregnant, I was like, oh crap, like I need to be able to get the business to continue running while I take maternity leave, right? At least for like 2 months for myself to like recover, etc. Right? And so I was like, oh my God, I need to have a system in place. I need to have people to run this business, and I can't have this business be on hold for like 2 months, right? And so that was when I really started hiring people and outsourcing things and training people. So I started hiring coaches to be on my team, started outsourcing a lot of like marketing related work, etc. And so then now I feel like I am in a place where I have learned to delegate a lot more. And so that kind of frees up a little bit more of the time for me to also be able to spend with baby and also, but for the business to still continue to run.
It's like you are literally saving up your energy, like because it's energy that matters, right?
Exactly. But I think one of the things that people don't recognize about delegating, or why people have a challenge with delegating, is that when you delegate to someone, you will always feel like they're not doing it as good as you. But that was something. So for me, I heard from another podcast somewhere that as long as that person can do 80% of the job, it's already good enough, because it frees up then your hour or your time to be able to do other things that are higher value. And so don't only let go when that person is able to do 100%, right? Because you actually might spend 80% of your time training up for that additional 20% of them to get better. And it might just be better to let go and
to let go of our expectations.
Exactly.
And that would make us happier, actually.
Exactly. But I think easier said than done. I think that was hard for me to like learn to let go when you're like, I can do better. Like,
Exactly. I'm having my own team as well. I'm like, sometimes I just ask myself, like, just chill, she's doing good. She's trying her best, and I should just trust her and just let her, do her way, right? And thank you for sharing, because I'm actually getting married next month.
Congratulations!
Thank you. And I see myself as an entrepreneur as well, and a solopreneur with one assistant with me. And I've been thinking, like, because my fiance started to ask me, like, hey, when shall we have children? And this make me feel so stressful. I'm like, I couldn't even imagine myself have to, start to putting a ratio. Whereby now I'm literally like 100% at work. Like I have to start to split the ratio. I guess the ratio is a very good advice to me. I have to start thinking about it, like really train a team to delegate out, like, to make it auto run, right?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
And I think it'll also depend on how much you want to be involved as a mother. Because I think I also, when I got pregnant, wasn't sure how, like, would I really want to be, like, would I really want to spend like so much time with baby? Or, I've always been very career oriented, and I knew I didn't want to lose that side of myself. And so I was like, I for sure know I'm not going to be a stay-at-home mom, but, how much of work do I want to bring in? Or, I think what I was surprised by was how much I'm enjoying motherhood. And I think that is really shocking to me, because like I love my business and I love what I'm building here, but I also love just spending time with her. And it's just really hard, because I think I was really surprised by how much I want to spend time with her. And I'm like, you know what, actually, and it's really cliche, right? I think that's what every mother says, or every parent says, that like your child grows up so fast, and your business or your work will always be there. And it is quite true. Like I think even in the course of 6 months, she's like grown so much, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Whereas like, your business, it's true, it could always be there. And maybe it's this season of my life is more focused on being a mother and less focused on doing work.
Like my brother, he's in his business as well, and then he always tells me that after a few more years, your child gonna just grow up and they feel shy to even hug you or even kiss you. And then he's like, I'm just gonna focus on their golden age.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, maybe it's true,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
And Jennifer, I mean, as an entrepreneur, do you have any expectation towards your child? Like when they grow up, do they have to be an entrepreneur?
No, I think I'm not really that type of a person. I think, yeah, I really think that I want to more instill values in them so that they can make decisions that make sense or that are fully thought out for themselves. Like I think more in terms of like training them to have like certain values or training them to really be able to make decisions well and to really evaluate from all fronts instead of, being very emotional with a decision or whatever it is. I think I want to equip them with the tools to make the best decisions for themselves.
Like a life coach to your children. Like.
Kind of. Yeah. I'm
Hard
not
to
just throw away my coaching hat.
I'm not just mom, I'm also your coach, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that for me is a bit more important. I think
that is beautiful.
Yeah, than me envisioning or visualizing something for them.
True, like not putting that expectation, like I want you to be this and that, and put your own definition of success to your children.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as she grows, I'll probably want to see like what is she more naturally inclined towards, and then help to foster that a little bit more as well.
And I always believe in, woman plays a very important role in family, like how children growing up, seeing their mom, how they deal with their struggle in life. It definitely would, teach them a life lesson. Like they know, like you are the role model, and mom is really important. Sure. And you are doing good, you are doing great. For sure. And I'm sure she'll get inspired by you.
For sure. And I think that's one of the things that I think both me and my husband are mindful of, right? I think the analogy is that, on the airplane, they always say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help the child, right? And I think we're both mindful that we need to be strong as a couple and in a relationship. And also we need to be strong in terms of who we are as people, right? So that we don't bring baggage or unnecessary emotional baggage or trauma or whatever with us. And I'm sure to a certain extent we will inevitably, but I think just being a bit more mindful in that process so that they then, have hopefully good role models in their life.
Yes, I agree. Like me and my partner, we also spoke about like, we want to stop this generational trauma.
Yeah.
Like we don't want to bring this to our next generation, and we have to break this like vicious cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, since we are in this woman entrepreneurship topic, like, do you think it's important for women to support each other in terms of business?
For sure, 100%. And I think that's been one of the loveliest things that's come out of me going into this entrepreneurial journey is just meeting so many amazing, women entrepreneurs like you, for example, like I think I've just been so lucky in this process to have met other women entrepreneurs and, how supportive this network really has been. I think women are really that we just really want to help each other in any way that we can.
Right. And we are so capable of doing so many things, right?
We really are. Yeah.
We can be strong, we can be soft at the same time, right?
I think I was like joking with someone the other day. I was like, if you can plan a wedding, you can do anything. Because actually the reason I say that was because I was planning my wedding and also building StyleTheory's Hong Kong office at the same time. And I was like, both of this is as much work. Like setting up a company and expanding this company in Hong Kong is just as much work as planning a wedding.
Yes.
And so every woman out there really is so equipped to do amazing things. They just may not know it, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Like my friend was asking me like, aren't you planning for your wedding? I said, yeah, I am. Why are you like looking so free? I said, no, I'm not free. I'm just like, why didn't I see you do anything like regarding a wedding? I said, I'm doing it at the back. Like I'm planning it. I'm basically literally like, connecting with every parties and,
Yeah,
right. If you can plan for your wedding, you can do everything.
You really can. Because I really did both at the same time, right? Like I really was able to evaluate like, hey, is it just as much work setting up a business from scratch in Hong Kong versus planning a wedding? It is truly just as much work.
Yes. I mean, okay, thank you for sharing, Jennifer. I mean, this is such a fun topic to talk about.
Yeah.
And before we close up this episode, I have two more questions for you. If you could go back in time, like what advice would you give your younger self when you were making the transition?
To transition to
From being a high flyer to an entrepreneur?
I think don't be so scared, or see that fear is a sign that you are doing the right thing. I think a lot of people, myself included, misconstrue fear as I shouldn't do this. Like I'm fearful in this situation, so that means I shouldn't make this leap and quit my job. I think I would have told myself to not be so scared of the uncertainty, and that actually life really works out so much better than life is going to work out so much better than you would have ever expected. Because I think if I was looking back at, myself at, I think 2019 was when I quit. So almost 5 years ago now. There's no way I could have envisioned where I am today. Like back then, I just took a leap of faith and I just, I guess, invested in myself or took a chance on myself. And I think people don't do that. I realize it's hard to take a chance on yourself. And I think people will take a chance on a lot of things in their life. They'll take a chance on other people. They'll take a chance on, investing in XYZ stock or take a chance on all these other things. But it's very hard for people to take a chance on themselves. Yeah. And myself included back then, I think I wasn't willing to do that. But looking back, I think taking a chance on yourself really has the biggest upside. Yes. for yourself, right? Because you really are in control of your destiny, and I think that's what I would have told myself, and I did it. But so I think not in terms of advice, but I think in terms of like how I would talk to myself 5 years ago, I think I would tell her that like, hey, it's okay. Like I know you're really scared, and I know you might feel like this is the biggest mistake of your life, but you wait. Like you are going to see incredible things in your life today that you never could have ever envisioned ever in your life. I think both from a financial upside, perspective, I think I never could have envisioned the potential financial upside that comes in the process, but also in terms of like the fulfillment and the purpose piece, right? Like I think those things are, I just never thought I could potentially have a job that I just really truly like wake up feeling so excited about every day. I think that's probably what I would tell myself.
I love it. It's like, that's beautiful. Like from your story, I can see that, whatever that we want, like the beautiful life, like to feel alive, it's exactly at the other side of the fear.
Yeah.
Like we just have to take the leap of faith to just one step forward. Right?
Exactly.
And
believe in yourself.
Yes,
yeah,
believe in yourself.
Yeah. And one more thing that I wanted to add is don't plan so much. I think that's probably the advice that I would have given my younger self, because I think I'm such a planner. I always want to like know what's coming, and I want to plan for X, Y, and Z. And I think I really happened into career coaching. Like it wasn't that I ever planned to be a career coach. It wasn't on like, some vision board and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a career coach one day. Like it literally never was like my dream, right? To do this. Yep. I really just started with starting a podcast during COVID. The podcast, really resonated because, this was a topic that a lot of people I think resonated with. They wanted to quit their jobs. And then a lot of people just started writing me, thanking me for creating the podcast. And then along the way, they started asking me questions about their careers. And so it really then evolved into me just helping people for free. Like I would just respond back or hop on a call with them. And then they'd be like, wow, this was so helpful. Like, you should maybe think about charging people money for this. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it slowly then evolved into like, oh, okay, maybe I should be a career coach.
Wow.
So it was really like a bottom-up type of business, right?
Yep.
Whereas I think a lot of the other businesses I've had before was very top-down.
Yes.
I'm interested in fashion. I want to start a fashion business, right? And so I would try a lot of these things, but they would fail. And so I actually, probably the advice that I would tell myself from 5 years ago is just to do.
Just do it.
Do it. And just like do and start with little small things. And that can eventually grow and evolve into a bigger and bigger snowball until you have then built a business for yourself, rather than think so much from a top-down perspective. Because I think a lot of times when you're trained in the corporate world, the thinking you have is top-down.
Yes.
Right? It's like the boss tells you to do this, then and the boss like kind of looks at it from like a top-down perspective.
Yes.
Right? And you don't really see, or you aren't really trained to experiment and try one thing and then the next, and then slowly grow it from the bottom up. Right?
Yes.
And so I think the advice I would have given my younger self is just try small things and see how you can potentially grow small things into something big, rather than sit down, write a business plan, and then think about what market to expand into, what product to create, and all of that, which is very top down in nature.
I love it. Like, it's just bottom up, just do it. Just have the courage to fail and get back up to be a better one. And your journey is definitely inspiring, Jennifer. It's truly amazing.
Thank you.
And if I may, I'm curious to, ask, like, I've always shared to my client, it's not just about the financial success, but it's about the legacy that we are trying to build or we are living on. So what kind of legacy do you want to build, and how would you want to be remembered?
It's a great question. And I think that's the reason why I do career coaching, right? Is because I see success as much more than just dollar signs.
Yes.
And I want to help change the narrative around careers and jobs. I think in Asia, we are much more, and this is probably like a gross generalization, but I think in Asia, we're a lot more practical and money driven, right? We're like, oh, we have the bills to pay, and a job is where you go to make money. And so that's why a lot of us end up going into jobs that pay really well, but then we find ourselves unhappy. And I'm not saying throw away all that money and just pursue something that you're passionate about, right? Because I tried that and you also end up not being happy. But I think I just want to change the narrative so that it's a little bit more all encompassing, so that when young kids are thinking about what they want to be in the future, or when you're graduating from university and you're taking your first job, you are making a decision that's a bit more holistic, not just over optimizing for the brand name or over optimizing for the dollars, right? But really just being able to consider, hey, that there's other things that I might want for myself and in my career, and have the courage to go towards that. I think that that's really the sort of bigger goal that I have, which is really changing the narrative around how people approach careers and approach work. Because I think it is the biggest part of our lives as an adult, right? And so why do things that isn't aligned with who you are? I would ideally, in the future, hopefully at some point, that people will all spend that time really getting to know themselves first before rushing into a job, right? I think a lot of times, like as a fresh grad, you're getting recruited on campus by companies with big marketing budgets. And so you go into those companies without really knowing who you are, what the job really entails. Is it going to be a good fit for you?
Yes.
And you listen so much to what your parents say or what people or society around you tells you to do, rather than listening internally. And so I really want to change the narrative, I think, with how people view jobs and how they make decisions around their careers.
Yeah. I believe, like, because career, it took like 40 years, 40, 50 years of our life, minimally. And it's definitely, by changing how people view career and how they chose their career, it will really make this world better, probably, like more, like less depressive, less depression, like, because people are just feeling unhappy, Thank you for sharing your journey with us, Jennifer. And just do a quick summary of what I've learned from Jennifer through this podcast. 3 things that I learned. Number 1 is definitely about the bottom-up approach, which I learned just now. Like, don't think about, from a bigger picture or which industry, but instead, like, who am I? Like, what's my personalities and what do I want to achieve? And secondary, that what I hear from your story that I could take away for myself is really, don't be afraid. Like, don't be fear, and just do it and be better at it. And the third one, I must say that I learned from how strategic you are. Like, you really know like what you want. Yeah, it's just that sometimes life, the best thing in life is just happen unexpectedly, like, right? Like just how you ended up as a career coach, right? Thank you, Jennifer, once again. And for the audience, for those, if you wanted to get more insight in the career tips, feel free to hop on to Jennifer's podcast, Ctrl Alt Career, and you will definitely find a lot of inspiration from there. And until next time, stay inspired and keep moving forward. See you again. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. This was really fun. Yeah.
Thank you for being part of this incredible dialogue. We hope this episode has inspired you to embrace heart-to-heart dialogue in your own life. If you love to share your stories with us, DM us, comment below, or use the hashtag HTHD stories. Your voice matters, and we can't wait to listen and learn from you. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with your friends. Remember, every genuine conversation has the power to make a difference. Let's make an impact together. Till next time.